Good morning, friends, and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, we'll be looking at how to calculate moles. Oftentimes in exams, you'll be required to calculate the moles of substances. And usually, in these calculations, you'll be given the mass and you'll also be given the molar mass. With these two parameters, you'll be required to calculate the moles of substances. Let's remember that the mass is usually represented by the symbol small m. The molar mass is usually represented by the symbol capital M, while the mole is usually represented by the symbol small n. Now, the relationship between these three parameters, so the mole is usually given by the mass divided by the molar mass. So that's the relationship between the three parameters. So if you are given the mass of a substance and its molar mass, all you need to do is to divide the mass of that substance by its molar mass. You'll be able to determine the mole of that substance. Usually, the mass will be given to you. The molar mass will also usually be given to you. But there are instances when the individual atoms of the molecule would rather be given to you, and you'll be expected to use those parameters to calculate the molar mass by yourself. Then you use that molar mass to calculate the mole of the substance. We'll be looking at these examples, and for each of these examples, you see some of the things I'm talking about in there. So I believe we can start. But before we start, just remember that this formula is very critical. Anytime you are given the mass and the molar mass of a substance, all you need to do is to divide the mass by the molar mass, and that should give you the mole of that substance. So let's look at the example one. In example one, we've been asked how many moles. So here we've been asked to calculate the moles. How many moles are there in 60 grams of sodium hydroxide? So first, they've asked us to find the mole, which we do not know. So let me make it question mark. We've been given the question gave us the mass of sodium hydroxide. So we can write that. So the mass of sodium hydroxide is 60 grams. Because we know for questions like this, we would definitely need the molar mass of the sodium hydroxide. Here in this case, we are supposed to calculate the molar mass of sodium hydroxide using the individual atoms of sodium hydroxide. So the molar mass of sodium hydroxide equals to sodium, the mass of sodium plus the mass of oxygen plus the mass of hydrogen. So that will give us mass of sodium 23. It has been given to us in the question. Mass of the oxygen is 16. It's been given to us in the question. The mass of our hydrogen is 1. It's also in the question. So the molar mass of the sodium hydroxide would give us 40 grams per mole. So now we know the molar mass. We know the mass. With these two items, you should be able to calculate the mole. So let me underline the the molar mass and the mass. So mole is equals to the mass over the molar mass. The mass is 60 grams divided by the molar mass, which is 40 gram per mole. When you divide 60 by 40, you are going to get 1.5. So that's 1.5 what? Mole. So that should be our answer. So our answer is 1.5 mole. Let's look at the next question. In the next question, we've been asked to determine the amount of substance in 12 grams of carbon dioxide. What is the amount of substance? Amount of substance is mole. So that means that we've been asked to determine the mole. So the mole, we don't know. That's what we are looking for. We've been given the mass of the carbon dioxide. So that mass should give us 12 grams. Then, luckily for us in this question, we've been given the molar mass of the carbon dioxide. It is 44 grams per mole. So the mass and the molar mass, we should be able to determine the mole or the amount of carbon dioxide. So we can quickly write that. So the mole is given by the mass over the molar mass. The mass is 12 grams. The molar mass is 44 grams per mole. So that would be 12 divided by 44. When you do the mathematics, 12 divided by 44, that will give us 0.27 mole. So what it means that the amount of substance in 12 grams of carbon dioxide, 0.27 mole. Simple as that. Let's look at the next question. So in the next question, we've been asked to do what? We've been asked to determine the mole in 2 grams. So mole, that's what we are looking for. So the mole, we do not know. Then in how many grams? 2 grams. So mass has been given to us and it is 2 grams. Then of hydrochloric acid. Here the molar mass hasn't been given to us. Rather, the masses of the individual atoms had been given to us. So what it means is that we have to calculate the molar mass of hydrochloric acid by ourselves. So the molar mass of hydrochloric acid will be given as we have 1 atom of hydrogen plus chlorine. So that will give us hydrogen is 1, the mass, chlorine is 35.5. So what it means that the molar mass of hydrochloric acid will be 36.5 grams per mole. So that's what we're going to use. So we now have our mass to be 2 grams. We have our molar mass to be 36.5 grams per mole. Mole is equals to mass over molar mass. So that will give us the mass of 2 grams divided by the molar mass of 36.5 grams per mole. When you do the maths, so 2 divided by 36.5, that will give us what? That will give us 0.055 mole. So that's the answer. So it's as simple as that. Anytime you are given the mass and the molar mass, all you do to determine the mole is to divide the mass by the molar mass. There are instances when you will not be given the molar mass, but then you'll be given the relative masses of the individual atoms of the molecule. In that case, you would have to calculate the molar mass by yourself by adding the individual masses. Once you are done with that, you can then bring the molar mass and use it in the formula, this formula, to calculate your mole. Now, let's come back to the formula. So this is the formula of mole. Mole is equals to mass over molar mass. Now with this formula, what it means is that there can be situations when you can actually be asked to determine the mass of a substance when only the mass, molar mass, and the mole has been given. So in instances when the mole and the mass, molar mass has been given, all you do is to do change of subjects and you can use that to determine the value of the mass. When you do the change of subject here, you realize that the mass will always be equals to the mole times the molar mass. This formula is very important. Although you do not need to keep this formula in your head, all you need to do is to keep the first formula in your head. And you can always use change of subject to arrive at this second formula. But if you feel you'd have to put both formulas into it, that's fair enough. Let's see if we can use the second formula, the mass equals to the mole times the molar mass, to solve some problems. Let's move on to the next stage. In this next stage, we've been asked what is the mass of 2 moles of hydrochloric acid. So the question is for us to find the mass. Then we've been given the moles of hydrochloric acid. So mole, which is N, equals to 2 moles. It's in the question. Then hydrochloric acid. Remember here, we were not given the molar mass, rather we were given the masses of the individual atoms. So what it means is that we would have to calculate the molar mass of hydrochloric acid by ourselves. So let's quickly do that. The molar mass of hydrochloric acid will be given as the mass of hydrogen plus the mass of chlorine. That will give us 1 plus 35.5. So the molar mass of hydrochloric acid will give us 36.5 gram per mole. So this is what we're going to use. So this is the molar mass, that is the mole. Those two items, we are going to use them to determine the mass. We've already established that the mass is equals to the mole times the molar mass. So the mole is 2, molar mass is 36.5 grams per mole. Mole is 2 moles. So let's multiply the two. So what it means that we have 2 times 36.5, that will give us 73 grams. So the mass of 2 moles of hydrochloric acid is 73 grams. As simple as that. Let's look at the next question. So we move on to the next question. Here we've been asked what is the mass of 0.5 moles of H2SO4. So here we've been asked to calculate the mass. So that's what we are looking for. Mass we do not know. Then, but we've been given the mole. Mole is equals to 0.5. And here, luckily for us again, we've been given the molar mass of H2SO4, which is 98 gram per mole. So it makes our work simpler. Remember, mass will be equals to the mole times the molar mass. You know the mole is 0.5, so that will be times the molar mass of 98 gram per mole. When you do the math, what are we going to get? 0.5 grams times 98 gram per mole. That will give us 49 grams. What it means is that the mass we are looking for is 49 grams of H2SO4, sulfuric acid. Let's look at the next example. I believe that will be our final example. So in this example, again, we've been asked to calculate the mass of 0.5 mole of calcium carbonate. So mass, we don't know, that's what we are going to look for. The mole has been given to us in the question, and it is 1.5 mole. Calcium carbonate, we've been given the molar mass, which is 100 grams per mole. So it makes our work easier. Mass equals to the mole times molar mass. So that will give us the mole is 1.5 times the molar mass, which is 100 gram per mole. We multiply 1.5 grams by 100 grams per mole. That will give us 150 grams. It's as simple as that. So the mass of 0.5 mole of calcium carbonate, 150 grams. And I believe that should bring us to the end of our lesson for today. So guys, the trick or the takeaway point here is this. Anytime you are given the mass and the molar mass of a substance and you are asked to determine the mole, all you do is to divide the mass by the molar mass. There are instances when the molar mass will not be given to you directly, but then the masses of the individual atoms in the compound will be given to you. In that case, you first need to calculate the molar mass. Once you are done, then you use that molar mass to divide the mass given to you in the question. Now, you can also be asked to determine the mass when the molar mass and the mole is given. In instances like that, all you need to do is to multiply the mole by the molar mass. And it's as simple as that. Mole multiplied by molar mass will give you the mass of the substance. Again, if you are not given the molar mass directly, what it means that you have to determine it using the masses of the individual atoms given to you. I believe that will bring us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much. And take very good care of yourselves. And please subscribe to the channel if you've not already done that. Remember, subscribing makes it easier for you to get alerts once new videos are created. Again, share the videos with your friends. Some of your friends might be struggling with integrated science. When you share with them, you will help them. See you again. We'll meet in the next episode.